It's Friday, the 4th of August, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1. For the first time in 15 years, would you believe it, retail sales have fallen for 3 consecutive quarters, with cost of living pressures really taking hold of everyday Australians.
If you exclude the COVID pandemic, the June quarter was the first time in 30 years that retail sales volumes were lower than a year earlier. Retail sales fell 0.5% during the quarter, following drops of 0.8% in the March quarter and 0.4% in the December quarter. Sales were lower across the board: household goods, department stores, even cafes, restaurants and takeaway food services, which have had a pretty good run since COVID. They fell as well. Tasmania and New South Wales led the way lower, while the Northern Territory and Western Australia are proving more resilient. The figures show that households are cutting back on non-essential spending as they struggle to manage higher interest rates and cost of living pressures.
How much do retail sales matter, Sean, when it comes to the economy and I suppose then to interest rates?
Plenty. Consumption's about 60% of the country's GDP, and retail sales is about 1/3 of that. So in short, retail sales make up a big chunk of economic growth. The Reserve Bank earlier this week said household consumption was a source of ongoing uncertainty, adding that many households are experiencing a painful squeeze on their finances. The Reserve Bank wants higher rates to cull inflation, but it doesn't want higher rates to put the economy into recession. As the central bank puts it, it's a narrow path. Sure is. These retail trade figures certainly add to the argument that interest rates don't need to rise too much more.
Okay, on to story number 2 now, Sean. And Canberra expects to hear within days on China's 4-month review of its punitive tariffs on Australian barley exports.
Trade Minister Don Farrell said there was goodwill between China and Australia, and he's hopeful of a positive answer from Beijing before the 11 August deadline. China imposed tariffs of more than 80% on Australian barley back in May 2020. It accused our exporters of dumping on the Chinese market. Since the election of the Albanese government, relations have certainly improved. Meanwhile, Farrell was asked about whether or not there's a new date for the resumption of free trade talks with the European Union after negotiations broke down last month. There isn't.
On to story number 3. A surge in the sale of electric vehicles, did you like that one, Sean, has pushed car sales last month to a new record for July.
Electrifying, Michael. Very good. There was a near 15% increase in new vehicle sales last month to 96,589, better than the previous July record, which was set back in 2017. Now, manufacturers have been ramping up production for several quarters now. That's allowed more deliveries into Australia. Full battery EVs accounted for 7% of total sales last month. If you include hybrid, it was about 18%. As usual, the Tesla Model Y was the best-selling EV, and in July, it was the 4th best-selling vehicle all round, behind the Ford Ranger, the Toyota Hilux, and the MG ZS. Now, the MG is a sports utility vehicle. 3 in 5 cars now, or 3 in 5 cars sold during the month of July, were SUVs.
That is quite extraordinary.
Yeah. So much for saving on gas.
Yeah, we have quite the appetite for them, apparently. Speaking of appetite, Sean, story number 4, Japanese giant Suntory will merge its 2 drinks businesses in Australasia to create a $3 billion a year company that will combine alcohol brands with non-alcohol brands.
Mixing drinks. Not so sure about that. Basically means,
well done. That was nice.
Thank you. Basically means Jim Beam, Canadian Club, and 196 Double Lemon will be housed in the same stable as Gatorade, V Energy, Maximus, and Boss Coffee. Now, according to the Fin Review, the new Suntory Oceania entity will be up and running by mid-2025. Suntory has started building a $400 million manufacturing and distribution facility at Ipswich in Queensland on a 17-hectare site, which will have initial production capacity of 20 million cases of ready-to-drink products each year.
Okay, last one, Sean. Story number 5. The average workday shrank by 37 minutes in the past year, and fewer people are doing overtime shifts, which may be a result of COVID triggering more consideration of work-life balance.
Yeah, so time spent at work has fallen to 10 hours from more than 10 and a half at the end of the second quarter of 2022, according to a study by workforce analytics firm Active Track. Interestingly, output hasn't fallen, which suggests productivity has actually improved. The research analysed 38 million hours worked by more than 134,000 employees globally across industries like financial services, healthcare, insurance and professional services, obviously mostly white-collar industries, but people just want a bit more work-life balance, it seems.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 4th of August, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't long enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.